The following excerpts are an introduction to the forthcoming 4-part documentary on Hand of the Cause of God, Enoch Olinga.
You could not pass by my house without turning in a few yards and say hello, Mr. Senoga and the family and Edith.
And I always think of him as being like a light. Wherever he went, he was beautiful, a beautiful soul.
He was very happy all the time, and he loves all the people. And the way he talks with people, he talks in a very polite way, and he knows what you mean in your heart.
What a beautiful soul. He glowed. His smile showed so much love, and his eyes just sparkled. He glowed. He had a halo around him. I wish you could have known him.
Enoch Olinga, my father, was a loving, caring person with a very big heart, great sense of humor, dedicated, and very happy.
You cannot hear "Are you happy?" without hearing Enoch Olinga, and you cannot hear it and think of him without smiling, and it's like sunshine bursting through the clouds.
This wonderful smile that just disarmed anybody that came in contact with him, and the most wonderful hug in the world. He had the capacity to bear hug you into paradise.
His spirit was so strong, his love was so strong, his gentleness, his intelligence, everything about him had such quality to it that it revolutionized my own inner concept of what color meant or didn't mean, what spirit meant or didn't mean, what love meant.
He was such a loving person, unifying person. I'm telling you, and the love of Mr. Olinga was, I'm telling you, beyond, had no boundaries. I'm telling you. And I miss him.
I remember not exactly the words that he used, but more the feeling that I had. And I walked away thinking, this must have been what it was like to have met a disciple.
I first met Mr. Olinga in 1950. His encounter with the faith and with the Baha'is was such that we could see that he was keenly interested and attracted to the faith. He himself told me that he had always been very timid and weak-willed. But we could see that after he became a Baha'i, he was a lion-hearted champion of the cause.
Enoch Olinga responded to the Guardian's call for pioneers during the 10-year crusade in an unprecedented act of faith.
Enoch offered to go to West Africa, and so Ali and I offered to take him in our car. It was the first time he was going so far away from home. We had him and 2 other Africans. Of these 3, 2 of them were Knights of Baha'u'llah. One opened Congo Brazzaville, and Enoch opened the British Cameroon.
The beloved Hand of the Cause of God, Mr. Enoch Olinga, what he accomplished, Shoghi Effendi says, had never been equal in the history of mankind. To be able to have left his home in Uganda and established the faith in many countries in West Africa and some countries in Central Africa because of his love for the faith and his great sacrifice and humility.
Hand of the Cause of God Amatul Baha Ruhiya Khanum recalls Shoghi Effendi's love and appreciation of Enoch Olinga.
Shoghi Effendi was very proud of Enoch, who was taught the Baha'i faith by Mr. Banani and Ali Naqshbandi in Africa in their home. And then he came at the Western Pilgrim House. He was having dinner with the Baha'i pilgrims from the West, and He said, I have given Mr. Olinga the title of Abu Futu, the father of victors, because he was so distinguished in his service of the Baha'i faith. He loved Enoch. Enoch was a wonderful man. For the Baha'i faith, which at that time had spread all over the world, and even the minor islands, let alone the nations and major islands, and we had so many Baha'is of so many different backgrounds, it was wonderful that Enoch Olinga was one of the hands of the cause. Enoch was appointed by Shoghi Effendi. He came here, he saw Shoghi Effendi. After the passing of the guardian, he worked with his fellow hands. When we had our meetings here, because the hands of the cause, after the passing of Shoghi Effendi, until we succeeded in electing the Universal House of Justice, ran the cause of God and its affairs.
Mr. Enoch Olinga traveled around the world several times from 1961 to 1977, inspiring the hearts on every continent and many islands. As a hand of the cause of God, Mr. Olinga represented the Universal House of Justice at several intercontinental conferences and National Spiritual Assembly formations throughout Asia, Europe, Central and South America, and Africa. In 1977, Hand of the Cause of God Enoch Olinga and his second wife Elizabeth returned to Uganda to be with the Friends and protect the Baha'i properties during the growing civil crisis throughout the land. Their intertribal marriage continued to be a shining example through all their travels until their untimely deaths in 1979.
I'm remembering how Mr. Olinga had been one person in Uganda and had discovered Baha'u'llah's revelation and how empowered and transformed and how huge his spirit had become to encompass the peoples of the world and beyond. That stays with me today. Thank you, God, because the desire to teach, the desire to be open to the spirit of teaching so that I can find or be in the company of one whose soul, whose spirit, whose history, whose energy, whose life could become as Enoch Olinga.
The future of the African continent or the African people is bright. There's no doubt about that. But I might as well add that Baha'u'llah has come for the people of the world, yes, for the tribes, the races, and the nations of the world, and not for one particular continent or tribe. Right. He has come to rebuild the world, and indeed is the Lord of the world, the Lord of the universe. But I also remember it is, where it is said that the last shall be first, and first shall be last. In Africa, we have thousands of Baha'is and many, many centers. I can say that in a short while from now, there will be a real explosion in Africa, spiritually speaking, when thousands upon thousands will rush to the cause and embrace the faith and become identified with the name of the greatest manifestation, Baha'u'llah. We are living in wonderful days, the days of the Lord of mankind. And as I believe very fervently, Baha'u'llah is the King of glory, the King of kings, the Lord of hosts. Aren't you proud to be a Baha'i?